Hey y'all, welcome back to Andy's Little Homestead. It's a beautiful day here in northern Michigan. Today we're going to do a little bit of maintenance on my old plow truck because there's nothing like waiting until the last minute. And we're moving up in the world. We're going to take full advantage of our position within a governmental organization and pull this into the fire station so we get to work inside. So we got a couple things that need to happen today. I hooked the plow up yesterday and immediately broke one of the springs. We're gonna change out the hydraulic fluid, grease the whole system. We gotta replace a hose, and then we're gonna apply a protective undercoat to the whole damn truck. It should be a good time. Well, first thing we gotta do is get all the snow knocked off, and then we're gonna spray it down real good. Let it dry while we're doing the maintenance, and then it should be dry enough to apply the undercoating. There we go. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm really glad to not be outside. So now first thing on the list we gotta do, we're gonna swap out this plow spring. So these trip springs do a couple things. The first is, they make sure you don't tear your entire truck up. You see, if the plow was rigidly connected to the frame and then to the truck itself, and you hit something immovable, even something small like a stump, I'm not saying that that's small, it's not. But even then you're gonna have a problem. So what the trip spring does is it allows that blade to basically fold forward and ride up over top of whatever it is that you hit. These two here are the only fixed points that it's actually connected by, but the springs allow it to rock. The second thing that they do is they determine what angle this blade or cutting edge hits the ground at. So if I were to tighten up this eye bolt, it would basically rock the whole thing back and angle that blade more like that. That allows it to, you know, dig down a little bit deeper and keeps the plow from just kind of riding over a layer of snow on the bottom. When the cutting edge is close to vertical, it makes it easier to back drag so you can pull snow away from garages and crap like that. But when you're pushing snow, it does have the potential of riding up over top of it. So it's a kind of a fine balance you gotta find with it. And this is held in place just with 2 nuts, and it's got a lock washer on the new one. But it's very important that they're pulling an equal amount of tension on there. So I'm gonna set this one to where it's sticking up about the same as the other one, and I should be good. All right, so that's good to go. Next thing on the list, we're gonna drain all the hydraulic fluid. This is something that should be done once a year. So this unit is an older Western unit. It's got the motor that powers the hydraulic pump and then the reservoir itself. The lift piston is right here, and then the control valves that go to tilt the plow side to side are right in there. Down on the bottom here, there's a drain plug. We might be able to get it, or I might have to pull the unit and shift it around a little bit. Let's find out. None of these really wanted to break loose, but I'm hoping that once I get this out of the way, I can get on in there. You know, there's a lot of concern about government agencies spending too much money on things, and it's absolutely true. I mean, look at this bougie drip pan that we got. It's nonsense. It's out of control. Now, one of the things that you notice is that it's coming out. It is not milky in the slightest, and that's a wonderful thing. See, a common problem with this style of plow pump is that you've got a seal right here, and snow and ice and everything collects in there, and it's easy enough for some water to kind of sneak right on in there. So by looking at the fluid coming out, we can tell that we don't have any leaks that are letting water in, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and close back up and fill it up. So for this, we're refilling it with just the generic plow hydraulic fluid. It's good down to negative 50 degrees. And the biggest reason that we're going with that is because that is the stuff that they had at the hardware store. I'm given to understand that some plows require a specific type, but I didn't look into it that far, and it'll probably be fine. We're gonna let her wobble. Random side benefit of the blue stuff is that as soon as you spring a leak somewhere, you know it, because it looks like a Smurf took a piss in the snow all underneath your plow. And for those keeping score at home, took about 1.5 quarts to fill it up. Now, obviously, there is a little bit more in the system in the turn pistons and those lines. If I wanted to get stupid with it, I'd cycle it back and forth and send all that fluid out. I'm not really worried about all that. It's comparatively not that much. Because we know our fluid before was good, I think we'll be good. And then as we tighten this up, we want to make sure that we don't go too tight with it, because it's a cast aluminum housing, and if we strip it out, then we've got bigger problems. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the control cables. Unlike modern plows that have the fancy little button doodad in the cab, and there's electronicals and an isolation box or isolation module, that's what it's called. This is old school. Cables go to valves, the other end goes to the joystick in the cab. It's a moving part, so we gotta maintain it. Underneath these two covers are the valves themselves and a whole bunch of grease. And it looks like that grease has been there for a little bit. So this is real simple. We're gonna pull the old grease out and we're gonna stuff some new grease in. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. So I wasn't originally gonna do this, but we already got it open. I decided we'll go for it. The cable attaches to the valve right there, and this little guy right here is what's holding the cable in place. We're gonna go ahead and pull this off, and we're gonna shoot some lube down the pipe. Because think about it, that cable is a solid steel rod that's flexible inside of a tube. As the old saying goes, if it moves, grease it. If it doesn't move, paint it. I don't actually know if this is going to do anything, but it sounds good on paper. If I had written it down, it would sound good on paper. All right, so now we got her all back together. Last thing that we're going to do is we're going to swap out this hydraulic line here. It's not in the best shape. That's real simple. I'm just going to pull the quick connector off the one end, put it on the new hose, stick it back on. There we go. Now the only thing left to do is let it dry so we can do the undercoating. So while we do that, we're going to do some fireman stuff. All right, so now we got all that done. The truck is mostly dry. We're gonna call it dry enough. I got a couple driveways I gotta do this afternoon. We're gonna do a quick and dirty undercoating with fluid film. As with everything else, I am not sponsored by them, but it's been around since like the 40s. It was originally developed for the Navy for coating the insides of like chain lockers and things that you couldn't get access to paint. It's lanolin based, whatever the hell that is, and it holds up pretty well. If I get a good coating on it now, I won't have to touch it again this winter. I should mention it's sticky as hell and it smells like booty hole, but it works. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's why I don't have sponsors, because I say things like it's sticky as hell and smells like booty hole, but whatever. And to apply, we're going to use a pump sprayer because it seems like a good idea. You know, I've only ever seen this stuff in an aerosol can, and I'm not so sure that this is gonna make it through the pump sprayer. So I went and did something that I've never really done before. I read the manufacturer's instructions. Apparently you really can't do it with a pump sprayer. You need to use an airless sprayer or an actual undercoating gun, which according to the forums is the right way to go. And they don't really recommend thinning the product out. So guess we're not undercoating it today. Let's get to work. Plow's doing pretty well. I'm happy with everything so far. I'll figure out the undercoating stuff at some point. Not really all that important right now. The cab probably won't rot off the frame this winter. I'm really trying my best, y'all. I'm really good at breaking things, but I figure if I really get on top of it and stay on top of all the maintenance of all my crap, maybe all my crap will keep running. Either way, I'm real happy with this truck and how it's doing. I'm sliding through, I'm sliding through, I am sliding through. That's a problem. As I was saying, real happy with how the truck's doing. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed and I hope you learned something. I love you. God bless. Now, just to address the ethics of using this facility for this purpose, I'd like to remind everybody that I'm a volunteer and I need my truck to get here. And sometimes I need my truck to do the plowing to get to where I need to go. So I think this qualifies as a legitimate use. That's what I'm going with.